Hey YouTube, my name is Marita and welcome to another edition of the Nurse Lounge. In this edition, we are going to continue our series with my narcissistic marriage and my road to recovery. Today's topic is going to be narcissistic mothers. And so basically, I'm going to talk more about my journey, what I've endured, where I am headed throughout this series. From the two videos that I've posted, you all have enjoyed this series. I wouldn't say enjoy it in terms of finding pleasure in it per se, but happy that I'm able to share my journey or my struggles or everything to let you know that I'm not a perfect person. I've endured quite a bit, even while pursuing a doctoral degree, which I did finish and graduated this morning. Today is January. Today is June 20th, 2020. For those of you who saw this in the future or seeing this in the future, I graduated with my DNP today, my Doctor of Nursing Practice today. So I am a doctor nurse, as we say. But that's not what this video is about. But I do want to use a disclaimer and simply say, I'm not a therapist. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not any of those things. I am a registered nurse who happens to have a doctoral degree. And I'm sharing my experiences with you when it comes to narcissism based off of my experiences within my marriage. So I'm not trying to be one to come to say, hey, you know, what should I do about this situation? I can only tell you what I've done and what's worked for me, and you can kind of govern yourselves accordingly or seek someone who actually has expertise in this area. I'm not the expert. I'm just telling my story through YouTube, hoping that it will help someone realize either they're in a situation like this, that they need to get out of a situation like this, that this is not normal and it's okay to want to move on from that, and to not stay in a kind of a either marriage or relationship. I have been married for going on 12 years, but we've been together for going on 17 years. So this is someone I've been with, again, since my early 20s. He is not the father of my girls, but definitely the father of my boys. Not definitely, but he is the father of my boys. The girls, however, he has been in their lives since they were, I want to say, 4 and 2 years old. So that's all they pretty much know in terms of a father figure. But when it comes to narcissistic mothers, I was trying to figure out very early on what is the problem with his mother and me. So his mother, she is now deceased, but his mother was, I have discovered in hindsight, a narcissist as well. And a lot of times narcissism breeds narcissism. So, you know, meaning that it's not per se that DNA per se, but it's because of what they have endured themselves that they end up compensating somehow, some way, and bringing up their children in the same way. So she would do things to, again, sabotage our relationship. But then again, he was also a mama's boy, but not in a good way. Well, I don't know if mama's boy is always a good thing anyway. But it would be things like, for instance, I remember when we met, I met that family when I was in my teens. And I didn't have any children at the time. So we were friends very early on. And then after that, I kind of did my thing and he did his thing, which is why I have the girls and he has another daughter. And then we came back together in our early 20s after the fact. And then we've kind of been together ever since. So during that time period when his mother first met me, she was very much into me and loved who I was about. But the one thing I noticed in hindsight, that she was very controlling. Narcissism is about power and control, okay? And when she was very controlling, and I mean that in a way that she would, I remember I was going to a certain university that I ended up still going to, and she was one of those who was really into black people should go to a black school, period. And I was going to what we call a PWI, or a predominantly white institution. And this other school, this HBCU, if you will, was in it was an hour away from where I was living at the time. But she was adamant about me going to this school. So what she did was she came down to the city that I lived in, picked me up. She had already prepared for my financial aid packet to transfer. She'd already had prepared for me to meet it was back when I was getting my psychology degree, meet the person, like an advisor, if you will, about psychology. She met with the financial aid people. She did all this stuff for me on my behalf. And at the time, at being 18 years old, I'm like, okay, this is great. I'm glad that she's really doing all this stuff for me. My mom, though, however, at the time, this is my 18-year-old self, said, okay, this particular HBCU is a private school, so whose money's paying for this? My mom said to me, you can go where my money pays for. And at the time, my mother was paying for my going to college, my financial aid and my tuition. And so my mom was like, I'm not sure if I like this situation. She barely knows you, but she's wanting to take you in and got you set up with all these kind of people. It was a red flag for my mom, but not for me, because I was 18 years old at the time. So I didn't go to the school. My mom says, you can go to that school if you want to, but the only people you know in that city is them. Are they going to help you, or where are you going to live at? You know, did she work that out? She said, but if you want to go to school, you need to go where my money's going to pay for. So, you know, of course I listened to my mom and continued the school that I was at. And at that point in time, this particular mother, his mother, did not like me from that day on, because I did not do as I was told to do. And because of the fact that she was someone who believed in, again, like I said, black people should go to black schools. And I have no issue with that in itself, but it's just how she went about doing it was not the best way. And then how she turned completely off when I continued to go to the school, even with the rationale that was explained to her by myself and by my mother, it was never a good thing after that. So we've had a tumultuous relationship ever since that day when I was 18 years old. So anyway, like I said, we lost touch after that. And then I had my girls, as I stated, and he had his daughter, and we came back together around age 22, 23 or so, and maybe 23. And so when we came back together at that point, she was like, oh yeah, I remember you. You know, you're the one who went to that white school. That's what her words were, white school. And even after all those years, she still had issue with that. I had 2 children by then, and she took issue with that because I had children out of wedlock. Now, mind you, I had 2 girls out of wedlock, and I'm not advising anybody to do that. But yet her son had his daughter out of wedlock too. So don't tell me what's the difference. So like, he did the exact same thing I did. We were not together, but he did the same thing I did. He was never married to this particular person. So again, her son could do no wrong. Okay. So I'm painting the picture for you. He could do no wrong, but at the same time, we're doing the exact same thing, and I'm the one who's wrong. So that's that double standard. Fast forward as things continue on, we end up getting together. I moved to the said city, I moved to Nashville. I just moved to Nashville, which is where that family is from. And I had finished nursing school, moved to Nashville, and he happened to move in with me probably within a month or so of me moving to Nashville. Now, we had been together for a while at this point in time, so it's not like I just a random man moving in with me. No, we were already, you know, dating or whatever we were doing at that point in time. It was just me moving to Nashville. He was watching my girls at night, like I was telling you all in another video, when I went to work. His mother had the nerve to call my mother and say, you know, now my mom, let me tell you, my mom was a holier than thou. My mother's deceased as well. She was a holier than thou. You do not shack up. You do not do those types of things. You do not get pregnant out of wedlock, and on and on and on. And I did all those things that I shouldn't have been doing. But she called my mother. His mother called my mother and says, you know, I do not approve of this, them living together, them being together, things like that. And my mother called and told me and said that she said to her, well, are you paying any of their bills? What are you doing what are you doing in this whole situation? So you really don't have anything to say, is what she said. Not that I agree with it, my mother, not that she agrees with it, but they're grown. They're both 25 years old. What are we going to say? So that's kind of what, you know, again, that control that she was trying to elicit throughout this, relationship. And I wasn't seeing it at the time, because of course in hindsight is 2020. I was not seeing it at the time. I'm like, what is the deal with her, and why is she in my business like this when I'm a grown woman at this time with 2 kids, and you know, and I'm in nursing school. I had finished nursing school, so it's not like I was out here trying to bring her son down, because mind you, in the end, here we are today. He brought me down. I was a level up for him. You know, I was something good for him, and even today I'm still something good for someone, just not him. And so that was kind of the start of those kind of backward ways that I realized, okay, in hindsight, you know what? She was trying to be really controlling in that situation. So that was very early on. We hadn't got married yet, but once we got married, it was more of the same. More of, you know, she would not talk to me. She would not speak to me. She would do things like, and to add to this, her son, my husband, was not helping in the situation. There was definitely a power struggle between me and his mother. The one thing about being a queen in your home is you're a queen in your home and your home only. You don't rule anybody else's house. So I was one of those kind of people who don't back down from anybody, especially when it comes to me and mine. And I found out very early on, which is a red flag, I'm not sure why I did not pay attention to this, that he would always side with his mother Huge red flag. The Bible even states, well, no, we wasn't married at the time, but the Bible even states that you leave your mother and father and cleave onto your wife. He didn't understand that whole concept. He was definitely, whatever his mother said still went in our house. And she knew she had that kind of control. So there'd be times where she would call him and tell him he needed to be off. Now, mind you, we don't have a whole lot of money at this point in time. But tell him he needed to be off to take his daughter somewhere, which would have been fine if I had known about it in advance. But I'm scheduled to work. And I have my own kids at the house that he was taking care of at that point in time. So I had to end up taking off of work because he needed to take his daughter to a WWE event that they had planned and never told me. But yet when it comes down to our bills and not having enough money, and I was the breadwinner at that point in time, we're going to be short and they're not going to help us with anything. So she would do things and sabotage things like that. She would always like wait till the date of an event to call and say, hey, we're having, like, she would never invite us to anything, or she'd invite him, but this is even after marriage, but she would never invite me or my kids. She would do things, and she definitely was not a great, he had a daughter, and his daughter had siblings as well that were not my husband's. She would go get those siblings and have them come to the house, but my children could not come over. Or when they did come over, they were treated differently. They would not, they would feed the other kids, but not feed mine. It just got to the point where it was really nasty and messy, where I'm like, I'm not going to allow your mother to make a difference between my kids that are not yours versus the other set of kids that are not yours, that is your daughter's siblings. And it became a battle like that all the time. She would always do something like that. When it came to Christmas time, as an example, now mind you, we're married at this point in time. Now, I come from a family where my mother, if my siblings, matter of fact, my brother did, he married a woman who had other children. My mom would still consider them to be her grandchildren, and she would buy gifts for them just like she would buy for her biological grandchildren. Now, with that being said, that never really happened for us. Like, she would never buy me anything for Christmas. And I know that's a material thing, but you know, when you're sitting there opening gifts on Christmas Day, when we go to get gifts, and your two little boys get something, but the husband gets something, but the wife doesn't, or the other two kids that don't belong to him doesn't, it's a slap in the face of this, and they're wanting us to come over for a Christmas tradition. And they did this time after time after time, year after year after year, and my girls are not understanding why come they're not even getting a gift card or something like that, but we have to go to their house to watch everybody's open presents when we are married and we are a family at this point in time. So it was things like that she would do. And she was pretty much more so a covert narcissist as well, because she would be the one who goes to church on Sundays and Wednesdays and recite Bible verses, but again, stabbing you in the back during the rest of the week or behind closed doors. People did not know who she truly was when she would do things to manipulate like that towards me and my children. She even told me very early on I would never be a great nurse because I remember crying one time after I had my first patient death, and I was not even in nursing. I was still in nursing school at that point in time. She said, you're not going to be a good nurse if you can't handle death. And I'm here 16 years later. I'm still here, and I still don't handle death well. So that's nothing new. But she was not very supportive, shall I say. Then as my girls were growing up, you know, and I have my daughter at the time was headed to high school, and I moved to a different county. I moved out of Nashville, moved to a different county in which it was predominantly white, but it was a better school system. It had nothing to do with the race. It was a better school system. Well, she gave me hell about that. She said, how dare you move the kids? Now, mind you, by now I had my sons, okay? So she has grandkids that are her son's children now. And she began to learn real quick that in order to get to those kids, those babies, that she had to come through me first. So she tried her best to try to lighten the mood and try to make things better. She became more agreeable and acquiescent, and she would, you know, give a few gifts here, just trying to get to my kids. I remember when I got pregnant with Jaden, which is my oldest son, who's 11 now, and we were poor then too, as always. She said to us, or to me, I will give you, or her word was, I will gift you a crib if you let me have your son. And I'm like, well, what I need a crib for? Now, first of all, you're not getting my son, but what would I need a crib for if you having him? So she did the same thing with his daughter. She waited, the mama had some issues or whatever, and my husband ended up getting full custody of his daughter on paper. but we could never have her. We could never, he can come visit her. He can go pick her up and things like that. But he never had to be a father to her. Never had to be a father. Never had to do anything for her because his mother was the ruler. She did and said whatever needed to happen. And so she raised the daughter until she passed a couple of years ago. So that daughter grew up with the grandparents and not with her mother, biological mother, or biological father per se. And as a result, honestly, my husband and the daughter has more of a brother-sister relationship versus a father-daughter relationship. And that's partially due to the narcissistic ways of my husband, because he has that same kind of relationship with my boys where it's a brother versus a father-son. And so they never take him seriously because, again, he's just as immature as children are who are supposed to be immature. And at times my kids are more mature, believe it or not, than he is. So, you know, she was controlling in that way as well. So it's like she wanted everything the way she wanted it. She got his child from that situation. Then she wanted to get my son and said, hey, you know, I want to take him. I will take care of him. I'm like, no, I can take care of my own son. I don't have any issues as to why I can't. Now, financially, we were struggling, but I'm the type of person where I'll make it work. I'll figure out something, and I'm going to definitely do what I need to do to take care of my son. No one's taking my son from me. And so she was helpful in some ways where if I say, hey, I gotta work, can you go pick them up from daycare? She would do things like that. So they're not all bad. They don't always do bad things, but they don't do good things with good intentions either. So they would do things and try to rub it in your face later. She was definitely this kind of person. And it would be things where she would say, are you taking care of my son? And my son says he has a toothache and you haven't did anything about it. Your son is a grown ass man who can call and make himself an appointment to go to the dentist. That's what he can do. And so if he needs a way to get there because he needs, he's about to have some type of surgery. Oh yeah, I don't mind doing that. But I'm not going to call and make the appointments for him. Because he had became dependent upon me to do so. Same thing he was with his mother. He went from one mother to another mother. He wanted to be taken care of. He didn't want a wife. He wanted a mother with wife benefits, if you know what I mean. And so I refused to make the appointment. So she calls and says, my son calls me and says he's having a toothache and his wife is not doing anything about it. I'm like, no, because he can call and make the appointment. Once he makes the appointment, then I can take him to the dentist and get his tooth pulled. Well, she decided that, she said, that's what I thought. And she hung up on me. And this particular day, it was a hot summer day in 2018, I want to say. It was a hot summer day in 2018 where we had no air conditioning for a week. And I finally had gotten an appointment for the HVAC person to come and service our air. And he had one of my girls here, they were younger. He had one of my girls here and one of the boys here with him because I was working during that day. It was summertime, so I was working during that day. And the kids were out of school, so he had the kids with him. And what he ended up doing was he knew we had an appointment for, I don't know what time, maybe 12 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. She decided to schedule an appointment for that exact same time and came and picked him and the kids up and took him to the dentist. And we still missed our HVAC appointment. It was a Friday. And so she, again, did that on purpose, knowing we had an appointment because he told her and I told her we had an appointment. But he didn't want to argue with his mother. And his text to me said, well, I knew one of you all was going to be upset. So I just decided to do what she told me to do. Now, mind you, I'm your wife and we don't have no air conditioning. And we have been laying here with no air for over a week. And they're not going to come back out to service until next week. And she did not offer, at least for my kids to come stay. That's what they do. They sabotage things and they control things. And that was her way of controlling that situation. We had to lay here for another 3 days with no air conditioning because she purposely went, picked him up and did that. Now, mind you, my husband had no insurance at the time. So she decides they're going to do, is it called care credit or something like that? Where he gets a root canal. And now we have this $3,000 bill. Well, who do you think paying for it? Because the thing is, I don't have the money for that. And he don't make enough for that. So, of course, that goes against us. And she did that on purpose too. Told, oh, go get this, go get this. She would do things to rack our debt up and he would just go along with it, knowing he wasn't going to pay for any of it. Because why? I usually take care of everything because of the fact that I'm trying to make sure our name stays good in the community and we pay our bills. But he was never about paying bills and things like that. Again, sabotage our situation. For her to do something like that was very much painful. And for me, that was the cow that broke the straw. That was the cow. That was the, what's the saying go? That was the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak, that I realized right then and there that, you know what, this is the reality that I have. She does not care about me, and honestly she doesn't care about the kids either, because the thing is, why would you sit there and know for a non-emergency, his appointment could have waited till Saturday or later in the day after the dentist appointment, after the air conditioning to be serviced. It could have waited till later in the day, and she decided to sabotage, knowing that's when our appointment, that's when she made the appointment for that exact time, knowing we was not having the air conditioning was going to impact me and those children. And there are several other stories that I can explain over the past 17 years. She passed away in 2018, I want to say. Yeah, 2018. She then in July of 2018 is when this happened. She passed away that November of that same year. And it was devastating. It was devastating in that sense that she passed away, because even though she didn't care for me, I still could look to her. Some days we got along great, but I knew that she was really just trying to bait me in to see what I knew, things like that. She didn't really care for me, and she would do what she needed to do basically to get to my kids, because she knew, you know, that basically that's how she had to do. I would have policies or rules in place, policies like I'm a nurse. I would have rules in place for my kids, like they can't walk around eating cereal. Like she was a dental hygienist at that, meaning that she knows about teeth and the fact that they cavities and things like that, but still would give them all the junk in the world. And then my sons got their first cavities because of her, not because of us. My girls have never had cavities until my oldest one is an adult now. She's gotten her first cavity. Because why? We practice good dental hygiene. We eat better kinds of foods. Do they eat junk sometimes? Of course they do. They're kids. But I don't have my kids going around walking around eating dry Fruit Loops all day long and not brushing and wondering why you have cavities in your teeth. She did that. She's the reason why he has cavities or had cavities, because of the fact, of course, she fed it to him. I don't believe in kids running around the house. That's just me. You're not going to run in the house. You run outside. She's like, they can run in my house. They can do whatever they want to do in the house. And so when she would get them for a few hours or even a day, I'd let them spend the night from time to time. I'd come back and my sons would be heathens. And I mean heathens. They'd be jumping off the counter. I said, no. You can't do that at mama's house. You can't do that here. Well, we can do that at, grandma's house. We can do that at her house. You can't do that here. And so she would talk negative to the boys against things that I've had said, well, your mom is just mean and things like that. That's called parenting. That's setting structure, setting tones and things like that for your kids and how you want to bring them up. And it was just very difficult. It was always a battle when it came to the kids, when it came to her, when it came to the practices that she wanted to do. It came to, when it came to her son or me, it was always her son. And she would always correct his behavior. So when he would do things like, and I will get into this more in another video, but they're not good with money at all. They're not good with being responsible at all. And he would do things like go get speeding tickets, as an example. And the speeding ticket in itself is not an issue because we all have got tickets from time to time. But what do? You go pay for your ticket and keep it moving. But he would never do that. He would go and get a ticket, maybe $75. I'd find out about it a year later when he got pulled over again, and now he has a suspended license, or he has a warrant for his arrest because he keeps on getting tickets and not paying them and not going to court. And she would go downtown and, bail him out of jail. He would go to jail all the time because of tickets or things like that. She'd bail him out. I can't believe you're not going to get your husband out of jail. I didn't send him to jail. He did something that was irresponsible, so I'm not going to get him out. She go get him out, and she go pay off all that debt he had in terms of the tickets and the court fees and things like that. And matter of fact, this last time, back in July of 18, she paid his debt off yet again. And so because him always being a mother or doing things that mothers really shouldn't be doing, you should be, maybe you're going to take care of your kids from time to time. But if that child keep on doing the same thing, especially as an adult, let them be. Let them be. She would never help us as a family. There was a time I needed diapers for my son. She's like, no, I didn't make that baby. So no, I'm not going to help you get diapers. I'm like, okay, but then when he needed something for him specifically, she would do that for him. But when it came to me or me needing an extension of me, my kids, which were her biological grandkids, no, we couldn't get any help. And so, it'd be things like that. It'd be like double standards like that. And she also has another child, which she did everything for. That child could do no wrong. She did everything that we never got help with. She made sure she helped with her, or they did things for free for them where we had to pay for certain things. And maybe that's just because of the fact that he was a boy, male, and he's supposed to be taking care of his family, and he wasn't. And she was a girl. I don't know, or female. I don't know. But the thing is, there was always a double standard between our side and our struggles, and then the daughter, his sister, where she could get whatever she wanted. She hadn't had to pay for childcare. She don't have to pay for anything, whereas we had to pay for everything, and we struggle in the process. So having a narcissistic mother and realizing that after her death, when I realized where he gets it from, I'm like, this is nothing more than his mother. And she caused this. And I've been watching videos on YouTube about narcissistic mothers. And when I watch those videos, I'm like, oh my God, that is where he gets this from. And so if you don't know about narcissism, it's usually due to a child trauma. Something happened in their childhood where they have what's called arrested development. And they get stuck there. Well, she apparently had had this same type of issue. Something happened in her childhood. And again, I'm not saying that, no one ever like, sign me up for narcissism. No, we all have childhood traumas, or not traumas. We all have issues in life. We've all have dealt with things in life, but for whatever reason, this is what happens to them. And when they go around with these childhood traumas, hurt people. And they're conscious of the fact that they're using people. They're conscious of the fact that they are hurting people. They're conscious of the fact that they are sabotaging people to get what their needs are. And they are, they lack empathy and things like that. They can really care less about what you do and how you are doing. But they will do things not to help you, but the motive, let's put it this way. They will help you, but the motive is not to help you. The motive is really for their benefit. So they will do it, but it's for their benefit, not yours. It's not truly to help you like they claim. So having a narcissistic mother-in-law was very difficult. And I now see a lot of why he is the way he is. And it was just very difficult to, they had me thinking that I had something wrong with me. Both of them collectively had me thinking that something was wrong with me. And in hindsight, I'm beginning to see, there was nothing wrong with you. The issue was you got involved with the wrong family, because the family has some narcissistic tendencies, and it's called flying monkeys. So the flying monkeys are the people who are usually around these people who kind of filter feed into what's going on, either making it worse by telling you what they're doing, or just kind of believing the lies that the narcissist tells. And this family had a lot of secrets. I found that out after the fact, which I won't divulge any of that because it's not necessary for this video. But they had a lot of secrets, which a lot of families do have secrets. But it was one of those issues where they're painting the picture to be one thing, and they clearly are something different. And it's kind of like, okay, but yet I'm the bad person. So as an example, I told you I've had children out of wedlock, which is not ideal. It's against the Bible and everything. But yet there's people in their family who they paid to have 3 and 4 abortions. So tell me what the difference is. Tell me what the difference is between a family member having 3 and 4 abortions and someone like me who the only thing I've did is proven what I did. So if we're both having sex, me and the said person, but I actually give birth to my children, even though it's out of wedlock, I brought mine here. I just have proof about what I've been doing. Versus someone who wants to paint the picture of them being pure as the driven snow, but yet behind the scenes is getting abortions because they don't want that to come out in their family, that this is what's been going on, if that makes sense. So, but yet I am the bad person. I'm the one who is not well-rounded. I'm the one who lacks integrity, lacks morals or values. But tell me in the Bible where that says to go to abort a baby is okay and is not for reasons of rape or things like that. So this is not a pro-choice versus pro-life. That's not what this is. But my point is this. If you are someone who's Bible-based, religious-based, you're not supposed to do certain things. And first of all, you shouldn't be having premarital sex, right? Well, which is what I was doing. My point is I got proof what I was doing because I have the babies here. My babies, those same babies are now 22 and 19 years old. And this particular person does not have those babies here that they created out of wedlock. And we did the exact same thing, but I'm the bad person. That's kind of what I'm saying. And that's kind of what the image she would put out there, that I'm this, that, and the other. However, as time goes on and she got to know or see what I was doing, she's like, yeah, you had all these issues, but yet I'm going to school. I'm taking care of the girls that I had. Now I have 2 more boys, and they're being taken care of, and I take care of them very well. I'll continue to go to school. And I actually had started my doctoral program while she was still living. So she knew I was pursuing my doctoral degree. Meantime, her son, my husband, still can't even get a job beyond what a high schooler should have. But yet I'm the issue. He can't get a job beyond an entry-level position at Taco Bell or at a restaurant like that, where you just do, your basic stuff that a teenager would do or somebody in college would do. But yet you 40 something years old without a career. And I'm the bad person. I'm the one who brought him down, is what she said. And I'm kind of like, and I got to think, like, maybe I am bringing him down. Then I'm like, no, I'm not, because I'm the one who's still pushing forward. I'm the one who's still moving us up in the world. I'm moving us to better housing situations. I'm moving us to better environments, moving us to better counties where we live, better school systems. I'm the one who's doing that. I'm the one who takes the kids to every single appointment, make sure my boys has haircuts, make sure they have their physicals done. I'm doing all that. No one is doing that. Their daddy don't even do all that. So I've been functioning as a single parent our whole entire marriage because of the fact that that's what I'm supposed to do, apparently. And again, she could see no wrong in him whatsoever. So she corrected everything that he did wrong. And it was my fault if I did not cater to his needs. And I'm not saying a wife does not take care of her husband, but in this particular situation where I'm working 5 jobs and he's working, say, 1.5, and that 0.5 is questionable because I'm not really sure if he has a job or not, but yet his mother is taking care of all his needs, but yet he's not taking care of the family needs. You don't want a man who is into their mother like that. That apron string never got cut. Even to the day she died, that string never got cut. And he is doing nothing more than looking for someone to be his mother, not his wife. And he would tell me from time to time, I'm the best thing you've ever had. I'm the best husband you've ever had. And I'm kind of like, first of all, he's the only husband I've ever had, and you by far not the best of anything. And that would be a narcissistic injury. And so then he would kind of get against me when things were said like that. But watch out for these moms. Watch out for the moms, and watch out for the behaviors that moms and sons tend to have in the case of that you're dealing with a male. Now, mind you, moms and daughters can have relationships too that are still narcissistic relationships, but mothers and sons have a unique relationship anyway. Mothers, we really covet our sons. We love our sons. So it's a different kind of love and protect that we do for our sons when we don't want to let them go, that we want to rule their lives beyond what's normal. And not let them have adult relationships, and we're going to provide and protect like a man should do. That is exactly what he was doing, or she was doing. And so there were 2 queens, and she made it known that she was going to be the queen of her house and mine, and he let that happen. And so you don't want to let that happen. You want to make sure that you are someone who definitely keep that in check when you're dating. When you're dating someone, yes, you will know the relationship he has with his mother, and it should be a good relationship with his mother. Find out what he says about her, type of thing. But notice if he breaks dates with you to go do something for his mother, and y'all are deep into your relationship. You have been dating for a year, and he is still running off to do something for his mother, and your needs come last. It would be things around this house that need to be done, like my printer needed to be fixed, but yet he's leaving at 9 o'clock at night to go fix his printer, his parents' printer. He's leaving, or maybe he's going somewhere else, who knows, but that's what he said he was doing. And he would do things to help his family, but we would have those same issues here in the house, and he wouldn't fix any of our issues. That was my responsibility. So, and we're talking about for a family who, yes, the mom would pay for his stuff and do things like that, but they treated him bad otherwise. They treated him so bad otherwise. And it's kind of like, okay, you don't see that they use you for when they need you for. They don't call you ever. They don't do this, that, and the other. They don't help you, but they help your sister. You don't see any of this, but you still running over there, helping them first. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't help your parents. I'm just saying that, okay, sometimes the very people who treat you the worst is your own family, and you have to know when to cut them off too. But again, I didn't know I was dealing with a narcissist at the time, so he don't know any other way. And I was never going to come between him and his mom. And once you see men like that, you need to run, and run quick. You need to go ahead and leave quick, because he is up to no good. You do not want him as your boyfriend. You do not want him as your husband. And you definitely don't want him as the father of your child. So if you can keep from having children with these people, once you realize that you are blessed because of me having 2 boys with this narcissist, we are forever tied because of the fact that we have these children together. And co-parenting with a narcissist is almost non-existent. So good luck with that. So again, this is just about having a narcissistic mother-in-law, or his mother being a narcissistic mother, and how that has impacted my life for the worse, how it has impacted my husband's life, or the narcissist's life, and how it has been a I wouldn't say the single thing that tore our marriage apart, but it's one of the things that tore our marriage apart because he allowed it to happen, because he has his own issues anyway. So that wraps up this video on narcissistic mother, or my mother-in-law, who, again, and I'm not trying to bash her. She is gone now. But at the same time, this is my reality. This is what I've dealt with over the past, since I was 18 years old, like I told you. It was control. Everything with them is about control and power. And if she can have control over my house, my kids, her son, then that's what she wanted to do. She wanted to have that control. And she was a covert, like I said, just like he's a covert. Because in everybody else's eyes, she was the apple of the eye. She was doing everything as she, was loved by many people who did not know her to her core. But behind closed doors, again, she was stabbing people in the back. Hopefully this has been insightful for you all, for you to learn more about me and my journey and how I'm healing. Now, mind you, when she passed away, my healing began then from her. And I don't wish anyone dead, so that's not what this is about. But my healing began then when I realized she could no longer impact me directly. My marriage actually got worse after her death because he didn't handle that very well. But it got worse after her death, but at the same time, I knew I didn't have to deal with the double-edged sword from him and from her. So I began to start healing even at that point in time when she passed away, because then I didn't have to worry about being sabotaged or being things like that. Now, how it has hurt us in terms of her being deceased is the fact that she was the one person who I could go to say, hey, can you pick up the boys from daycare or from school or whatever? And she would do it because that was her time with the boys. I will say that about her. She did do that. So now having child care issues and stuff is difficult, but I don't miss the punishment. I don't miss the betrayal. I don't miss the sabotaging. I don't miss... You may hear my boys in the background. I apologize for that. But anyway, that's just kind of how it is when you got to record with kids up. But anyway, I don't have any qualms or issues about that. I feel like I'm at peace with that part. So again, I'm not a counselor. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm a doctor nurse. But I am sharing with you my issues, my life, my trials, my tribulations, and my testimony for how I'm overcoming being in a narcissistic marriage in my road to recovery. If you would like to follow me on IG, I will have the handle up here or here and down in the description box below. Email will be there as well if you want to talk about what things that you have going on, if you want to compare notes or whatever you want to do. We can always chat in the comments, which I love to do. You all are so engaging, and I'm always one to engage with you all. I'm pretty prompt on responding to messages or to comments. I do delete negative ones. And one other thing I want to say before I end this video, I'm not coming on here to, again, like I said before, bash marriage. But what I am wanting to do is shed light on a side of marriage or relationships that people do not want to talk about, because most of the time we're embarrassed about it. We're embarrassed about the fact that we feel to succumb to something so... It seems like, okay, how did you fall for that? And then why did you fall for somebody so low functioning with your education that you have? This has nothing to do with what education I have. This has something to do that I have a doctoral degree and couldn't see past his lies because of the fact that he had on a mask. So when I say he had on a mask, meaning he's been fake the entire time. And that's the part that you have to kind of realize. This is not really about you not being intelligent enough. They seek you because you are intelligent. They seek you because you do have your life together. They seek you because there's something they can get from you that they want. So it's not my fault that I was trying to be a helpful, loving wife, trying to help someone and get out of their ruts or their situations. That's not my fault. And I won't take blame for that. Am I resentful? Yes, that's where I am in the journey. Am I bitter? Somewhat. That's where I am in the journey. That's where I am in my healing process. So a little bit. Wanting to know more about my situation and my story and how I'm overcoming it and my road to recovery. And hopefully this can be a beacon of light for you if you happen to be in the same kind of relationship, or you're like, huh, that sounds just like my boyfriend. That sounds just like my husband. I've been trying to figure out what is going on, what's wrong. This is for you. So I thank you all so much for watching this video in its entirety. And I have plenty of videos coming on this topic. I appreciate you all. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. I want to get these videos out to as many people as we possibly can, because they need to know domestic violence is real, narcissism is real, and you are probably dealing with a narcissist more often than you think you are. And this video and others will help you realize who they are. Some people that I actually watch when it comes to narcissism is Associate Direct, Dr. Carmen Bryant, Overcoming Narcissism Abuse. I listen to Pink Girl Teaches or Talks or something like that. I've listened to her. I listen to Dr. Les Carter, who happens to be I think a psychologist or a psychiatrist, one of them. He speaks quite openly on narcissism. Dr. Romani, Sarah Speaks, is another one that I listen to quite often when it comes to narcissism. And honestly, it's their videos that made me realize that I'm dealing with a narcissist myself. If you watch these videos of theirs and others who happen to be more so experts on the field, then you'll have a better understanding of what you may be dealing with. Me, I'm not an expert, but I can tell you what my story is. Until the next time, the next video, please continue to join me as I stay on my road to recovery. This is my testimony. Take care. Bye-bye.